On the section on foreign aid and who's doing what in the world in terms of the role of international organizations and governments, key issue that I want you to keep in mind is the importance of U.S. leadership. Yes, as you learned in this class, the percentage per capita per person in the U.S. based on the U.S. budget overall is extremely small compared with most other first world countries in the world. Yes, that's a public policy issue that's to be debated and discussed. But at the same time, remember the U.S. is by far the largest donor overall by volume. The simple amount of foreign aid, whether it be food aid, cash aid, assistance of all the various types which you've learned in the class, the U.S. is by far the largest donor. So that when you are contributing that level of resources, it's key leadership and many of these vulnerable, the poorest of the poor that we've talked about in the bottom billion, being downtrodden, being disenfranchised in their own communities, they will look for they look to those who are standing up for them, who are trying to help. This is why the U.S. leadership is so important around the world today. And when the U.S., as a result, fights poverty, everyone wins. The beneficiaries, the host countries, aid agencies, the planet at the end of the day. This is how we will end world hunger in the end, is when countries such as the U.S. and other key donors stand up and say, right, not only is it unacceptable that we have this degree of hunger in the world and poverty in the world, but we have the resources to end this. We can do this. This leadership is so important. The next time you get a foreign letter in the mail with the picture of a starving child on the front, or a letter asking you to help contribute to this charity or this organization to help do something in the world, one, I hope you will, but more importantly, I hope that you will stop for a moment, for a moment and think, all right, is this an organization that speaks to me? Do they share values that I have in terms of my church, my religion, my worldview generally? Is this an area that I would like to support? Does this organization spend the highest percentage they can on actual operations, or are they more advocacy oriented, or do they work maybe with another group that is more operational but their advocacy? Now you know what that means. Now you have that knowledge of who's who and who does what, how they complement each other. You may decide, well, I'm less interested in what governments do. I would much rather support those who are working at the grassroots level, the NGOs, the small-scale NGOs, who need a lot of support because they've got limited capacity. I want to help them with that. And maybe I'm less concerned about how much money they might spend on their staff and maybe on their publicity and marketing of what they do, because they help in a very particular area that I think is important, either a particular community or a particular affliction. These are all thoughts, processes that I want you to just go through and think of when you have discussions with your family and friends and in your community, because now you better understand how the different groups work together, who they are, what they stand for, what their mandates are. This is very useful information to helping to understand how we as a team overall can end world hunger.